Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome and thank you so much for joining me this evening on the In Review, the late one where we look at some of the top news of this week. And there's so many breaking news which is happening. Breaking news: Cressida Dick is gone, which is the lady who is in charge of the Met. Breaking news: Prime Minister Boris Johnson is still here. The guy is what do you call it? He sneaks away out of everything. You know what I'm saying? Breaking news: Ukraine and Russia. Is there going to be a pending war, if anything? And also regarding NATO, NATO was created in order to stop this, just like how the EU was created at one point to ensure that we do not have another world war. And that's what NATO is. Touch one of my partners, you touch me. That's what they're actually saying. Is a dog more powerful or more, not a cat, really? Footballer. Footballer, the cat is actually, I don't know how to say this one. They're going to lose his job because of the cat. I mean, no one condone any violence towards anybody, cat or anything, but to lose his job when there are racist elements there. At the same time, what can I say? Let me just bring in Sir Gary. Gary, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, my friend, it's great to once again be on the great Sylbourne CDL show.
I tell you, I tell you, it's an awesome opportunity just to have you here on this great number one show. Moving away from GMB, BBC, ABC, and everything, and we just go straight at it. You know what I'm saying? Speaking to
Yeah,
thousands upon thousands. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, man. When Jesus comes, he's gonna go head straight for you, Seymour.
What Jesus gonna say? Jesus gonna say, "What's going on? What's going down?" You know what I'm saying?
he's gonna bypass ABC, CNN, GB, ABC, all of them, and head straight for the Sylbourne CDL show.
Gary, there's a man in the Bible which was Stephen, and when Stephen was being killed, they said it's like the whole world was fixated. And I was saying, how come the whole world was fixated on him? And they said it was a prophetic thing. I mean, to say that it in years from now, people are going to be so fixated and seeing things because guess what? It is social media and the internet is going to bring all eyes upon one thing. So therefore, we're going to see things happening around the world at one point, and everybody's going to be so fixated. Could it be the Ukraine and Russia? Whatever it's going to be, everything's going to be fixated. Anyway, how's your week, sir?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been eventful. There is not one day or one week that's the same, and I think that's good. Whether it's good news or bad news, but it's good to be alive. Hey, Michelle, my number one fan. It's great. It's good to see that you're still with us.
Yes, yes, yes. No, it's interesting. It's like I had in my mind what I wanted to start the show with, but then so many breaking things which happening. Which is the first one, which is the Met Police Chief Cressida Dick is to step down. I mean, you have been calling for this for a while, or I don't know if you or was it Anthony calling for the Met Police Chief to step down.
Well, I mean, I'm missing my friend Anthony. I don't know if he's still viewing or still watching. I don't know. I've been for a while, but you know, I do think that he has been called Crusader Dick to step down or to be removed. I
Mm,
think that it's not to say that she is not able and capable of doing the job, just like with everything else,
yes.
like other people. But I think there's so much has been happening around her that she doesn't seem to be able to get a grip of what's happening. Is either she can't handle it or she can't handle it. Well, it's either she can't handle it or she's not allowing, or she's allowing it just to take its own course. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. And then in recent days, little drips and drabs of what seems to be coming out of the Met, in that this I think there was a investigation at some point where it was said that there was a group of police officers within the Met that were passing around photos and all of these things around. I mean, no, it's
Well,
the yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, no, no, you're right. You're right. I mean, there's been a lot of questions about the Met for a period of time, since the killing of that lady there in Clapham, Sarah, since the two other police officers were caught taking selfies of the two dead ladies there, and few of different things. And I think from the Jean Charles, that was the guy from Brazil, when the police actually, and this was before she was commissioner, but she tended to have a track record within her, in her sphere of authority. Let's put it this way: her sphere of authority. And I think that's one of the issues within her sphere of authority, which seems to be creating the problem. And the mayor is actually saying he has lost confidence. The home secretary is really the top boss. The mayor cannot fire her, but he can actually display a no confidence in her. And if he displays no confidence in her, then they tend to always resign. And therefore it is talking about having a new chief, a new person. But my thing all the while is this: there tend to be always a propensity for changing persons, sacking persons. The buck stop, but somehow there's one fall guy which is not being sacked, and he can't get in sacked, which is your good friend, the prime minister. What is that saying?
Well, as I said to you, he's the first Teflon prime minister I've seen probably in my lifetime. Nothing sticks to him, and he don't stick to anything.
Mm,
So I don't know what's going on there really, but I think, I mean, as I said last week, and I think it was, by your other two colleagues that visited the show last week.
yes,
I think that yes, the plan. There was a plan. There was a plan. He was in that plan to for him to be elected, because I do believe everything is planned in this life.
yes.
I really believe that everything in this world is planned. And I believe that he was planned to be the prime minister for such a time as when he
This
took over, as the number one topic on everybody's mind was Brexit.
Brexit, yes.
Right. He took us through that. However, whatever he did, he brought England through that. Now, I believe he's overstayed his stay.
So he was
And
just, so as far as you're concerned, Boris Johnson was only here for Brexit.
yeah, that's for me. I think he was only here to take the United Kingdom over the threshold of Brexit. Because look at it like this. Some years, probably some time before that, it was documented that he didn't want Brexit,
Yes, I remember that time. Yes.
right? He wasn't. So obviously, all of these things, and I wish that I'm going to pray and I'm going to make a prophetic utterance right here that I'm not a prophet, but I want the whole of the United Kingdom really to focus on the Sylbourne CDL show,
Because
because I I believe, my friends, that that Boris, I wish everybody would understand and know that everything has been politically motivated.
mm,
Politicians, they say what they need to say at particular times to get the desired result. It does not mean that they believe and they support everything that they say and do.
so
Because at one point in the political life of Boris Johnson, he was not for Brexit. He never supported it. He
mm,
never voted for it. But you see what happened? Because he then felt the mood and the swing of the electorate
but
wanting to leave the European Union, and because at that very moment in time he wanted to step up to be the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, which he's always had. He's always wanted. That was part of his dream
To be
to
king,
be the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. I know that. Don't you
or
know that, Sylbourne?
or to be king.
Well, if he could be king, I'm sure he would go for that too. Yes, but he did say that, didn't he? I mean, one of
Yes,
his friends, I think, asked him way back, way back when in his youthful days,
yes.
and Boris has had it in mind to be king. So, so what we must not forget, Sylbourne,
Mm.
is that Boris Johnson was placed there to do a job. He's done it. They want to get rid of him now. I believe that there are the powers that be, and Sylbourne, I don't want anybody. I really want people when they listen to you and listen to what the thing that you discuss throughout the week. I know you do things also
Yeah,
for the Caribbean and such, but let me emphasize things here that everything that is done politically, not even in the United Kingdom, in Europe, in the United
yeah.
States, all over the world, there is a planned agenda. And when people step out of line, like I believe Boris has done, then they will get rid of him. They will do what they need to do to remove Boris Johnson.
Is it like dark forces?
I, I, I mean, okay, everybody, even the
Mm.
conspiracists, will talk about the Bilderberg Group, the Illuminati, you know, the CFO, the Council of Foreign Relations, and all of these things. I believe
Yeah,
that I do believe, and I'm a minister of the gospel and of the word. I do understand that I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
yes,
I listen. I do read quite a bit, and in my own mind, I have formed and I've seen where even though you have the UN, as everybody here knows about the United Nations, but there are agencies set up around the United Nations system that takes on the form, as we all know, of as the Health Organization,
yes,
WHO, or you have the the World Bank, you have the IMF, you have all of these other agencies that mimic the very departments that we have in this
yes,
country.
yes,
So I do believe that there is a system coming into place, whether it's dark forces you want to call it, but there is a systematic governmental system that is
yes.
being formed, and there are people, whether we want to say who they are or we may believe who they may be, and
Mm.
there are people who are very much in really very powerful positions unknown to us on a whole. But I do
Yeah.
believe that there are forces at work
Mm.
bringing things into place that we don't have any control over.
Okay, so therefore, and just wrapping up with this point here with Dame Cressida Dick, because would you say that there are forces at the same time which is orchestrating things which are happening? Because Dame Cressida Dick, ladies and gentlemen, that's the lady there. That's the head of the Scotland Yard, Dame Cressida Dick. Dame Cressida Dick, and if I just read this bit here, London Mayor Sadiq Khan said he was not satisfied with Dame Cressida's response to the report and that she'll be stepping down as a result. Mr. Khan thanked the commissioner, the first woman to lead Britain's biggest police force, for a 40-year policing career, and he said he will now work closely with the Home Secretary on the appointment of a new commissioner with an aim to restore trust in the Met. Dame Cressida has agreed with the mayor that she will continue to serve for a short period of time to enable an orderly and over. Is this a replica of what should be happening in number 10?
Well, I do believe that if Boris Johnson is reading the mood of the country,
Mm,
then I think that that should happen. What is it going to take? He has said that he's not going anywhere. Is that
Yes.
a good move? Probably not. I mean, the captains of industry, like the CEOs of companies such as BP and Texaco and the BTs of this world, that wield to some extent a degree of influence, when they don't have to mess up as big as that, and they have to step down. They
Yes.
have to go. So
Yes.
so in the same line, I believe that Mr. Johnson, to maintain the credibility of the office. Remember, no one person is bigger than the office. The office is always bigger than the individual. And
and
I
and that
believe,
and that is something that we normally used to say about President Trump as well, that the office of the presidency is bigger than the person, the individual, because
correct.
there's a force around it. Michelle sort of touched base on what you said earlier. Every conspiracy theory have some truth to it. I'm talking Liston, some truth to it, which is a fact. I mean, we are looking at a lot of the things which took place regarding from the COVID period to now. We are seeing many of the conspiracies are actually coming to a light. I mean, to say it's a fact, but those who are actually recognizing it are not actually acknowledging it, as if this was being said many times ago by professionals, because many doctors out there are doctors who are professional and they have their different views based on their research. And it's unfortunate that during this time regarding the vax or so, there was not a sort of opening of the minds that people can actually work together, think together, structureize things together as well. And I believe that the world is becoming more of an open place at the same time, because with the likes of CNN going down, with the viewers all going on, people are recognizing that they need to hear thing with Joe Rogan. They're trying to shut him down. There's need for more people to hear more things, Gary. You know?
Yes, I mean, people. Listen, the human being, mankind, male and female. Man was never created. Man was never made to exist in as a caged animal.
Yes.
Mankind needs to be free. Whatever that word free means to them, whether it's under a communistic regime or under a capitalistic free world system,
Yes.
mankind was made to be free. And free not only to do what he wants to do in reason, but free to speak. There must be a freedom to speak, to share what's on the mind. Yes, just like Joe Rogan.
So therefore, can we simply say that mankind is free to invade Ukraine?
Well, we mustn't be free to do that. Really, we
Uh,
can't walk into somebody else's house and say, "Well, this is my house." You know.
well. I mean, what we are seeing now, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on the late one in review with myself and Reverend Gary Graham. And for those on Instagram, thank you for joining. Let me hear what you have to say. And those on YouTube and also on Twitter as well. If you go on Twitter, you can see the show streaming there. Um, Ukraine Russia crisis takes are very high. You were pointing out today when we were talking, and I was watching it. The Liz Truss, who is the foreign secretary here in the UK, shade was shown at her. How does it? Shade was shown at her by the our equivalent or counterpart in Russia. What do you have to say about that, Gary? Because you're seeing it as well.
Yeah, I think again, it's it's the the credibility of the UK government. There is no respect for the head, such as there is no respect for Boris Johnson.
You think do you think it is because of Boris that Liz Truss is in a particular line,
Well, of
like
course.
a sort of thread, and whatever happens, that thread from the top is gonna filter. It's not because she's a woman and he disrespects her.
I don't think it's because of a woman. A woman may be one part. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that because of the respect or the credibility of the UK government has been damaged because of the Prime Minister. If there is strength, if there is strength within the government, such as the head of the government, then whoever he places at whatever um, position
Yes.
that person holds, there will be a degree of respect. But if you watched the foreign secretary for the Russian Federation, he didn't even give Liz Truss a chance to close her portfolio. He
Really.
never even gave her a chance to even for her to finish the last word that she spoke. He was out. And
So,
even while she spoke,
mm,
look at his demeanor. Look at his demeanor.
body
Look,
language. Body
look on
language
how
says a
he
lot.
stood. Huh?
The body language said a lot.
It said a lot. It spoke volumes. Anybody missed that? They weren't watching what I was watching. You've got to watch the person. And I really believe that Liz Truss may be excellent at what she does. She may be a professional in every way, shape, or form. That is not the issue there. The issue for me is that there is no credibility at the head of the UK government. That is why when Boris was going to call, he was supposed to call Putin the other day, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And he didn't, did he? No.
Mm,
Why?
mm.
Because of Partygate. No. Tell me. Tell me. It's terrible. It's terrible.
You need to
It's not
call
good.
you need to call Michelle and update her on British politics. As she said, she cannot communicate on British politics, you know. But on that note there, that I Dara Shelley, on that note there at the same time, you know, do you think that there's a pending war imminent? Because what someone said, the prime minister said, um, that there's going to be body bags or there's going to be dead bodies or so like that. People are saying they didn't like it, but somebody broke it down. I think it was the defense secretary by saying that whenever there's war, there's going to be casualty, and the Ukraine, even though they are a less of a power than Russia, they're adamant in defending their country. And you can see they're digging those trends. They're very adamant in defending their country. And NATO, which is the equivalent of ensuring that all of their partners are somewhat protected. You touch one, as I say sometimes, touch a button. As I say in Jamaica, you know, you come from Jamaica, you know them word, touch a button. You know, touch a button. If you touch me, you touch all. You touch Quaker, you touch all them shut in a different way. So therefore, do you think Russia is bluffing? I mean, I can't believe it. It's totally ludicrous, ladies and gentlemen. You know, that a country like Russia at this time, this tenure, this period in time would actually seek to actually invade a country. I can't believe it still,
Well,
Gary.
I think Sylbourne, and to your wider audience,
Millions, yeah, millions, of course. Yeah,
millions out there.
millions.
I'm so
You got to, see, ladies and gentlemen, we see things big.
yeah. I
Yeah.
am. I mean, it's a great. As I've said before, it's a great privilege to be a part of this show here, the Sylbourne Sidio show. But let me say, I am a minister of the gospel. I'm not a prophet, so I don't want
Mm,
anybody to call me Prophet Graham or anything like that. But when you look at the scriptures, when you look at what has been written within the pages of the Bible, I'm just wondering how many people reads their Bible. How many people have
mm,
really read it? Now I know that there's a lot of gospel or prophetic commentators out there, and I do listen to a few, and there's many who do make sense, and I listen to them, and I go back to the Bible and I reread things. I've got a few books that I do read and
Mm.
such and such. But you see, I don't necessarily think and believe in my heart of hearts that Russia wants to do what they are projecting to do.
Mm.
But anything could happen because they've got so many men out there. They've got over what 200,000 men,
Yes. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
on
enough.
the borders of Ukraine. Plus, they've got hundreds of tanks out there.
Yes.
Plus, they've got aeroplanes down in Belarus and they're doing war games for the next 10 days, they've said. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. I was listening to someone, I think it was on GB News the other day, and they said to me, or they didn't say to me, they said on the show
Mm.
that the Russian government or Putin is showing brinkmanship. Now,
Mm.
brinkmanship seems to have been done many times during the Cold War days, and even before that, during World War, before World War II begun and such. But what Putin seems to be doing, he is playing a diplomatic game.
Mm.
And he's placing these people so as to see, as this man was saying, and I do kind of understand and agree, he is seeing what NATO is doing. How far will the West go to show that they support Ukraine? Now, as it has
Yeah.
been said, and I'm sure you've heard it, and I'm sure you've said it too, Sylbourne, Ukraine has no value to the West,
Yes.
There is no value. There is no political value. Neither does it bring anything either to the United States.
So what is it then?
Well, you see, as Russia is saying, they do not want NATO
In their backyard.
in their backyard.
Isn't that the same thing regarding Kennedy and Castro and Cuba?
And
Is that the
Cuba.
same thing? Is that the same?
It's the same thing. But you
Yeah.
see the thing about it, okay, history is repeating itself because JFK, he eyeballed Khrushchev, I think it was. He eyeballed him and says, if you don't get these missiles out of Cuba, it's war. And on the very ninth hour or the 12th hour,
Yes.
yes, Russia pulled
Well,
their muscle or the missiles out of
out.
Cuba.
Yes.
Now I can't see NATO doing that. If NATO does that, if NATO pulls out now, Sylbourne, we'll have a
Russia.
problem. There's going to be a
Because
problem.
but
You
do
know
you,
why? Because
yeah,
it will signal to Putin
he's a
that
top dog.
NATO doesn't have any muscle.
Yes. And do you think, okay, do you think if Trump was around, Russia would be doing this?
No. You see, you see, the problem with Trump is this. Trump, yes, I will agree to some extent with with how some people may describe Trump. Um, and I wouldn't necessarily repeat it myself because of who I
Mm.
am. However, everybody must understand, and we all will agree to some extent, that Trump was not a career politician. Trump
Mm.
didn't know how to say what he needed to say as a politician. Trump, to me, Trump was a businessman. Everybody knew that Trump was a businessman.
Mm.
Trump, whether he did it legally or illegally, he made money, right? He made deals. He knew what it was to sit around a table and to talk a deal. However that deal was made, he was able to talk about the deal. But when it came to politics, Trump
Mm.
didn't have a clue. But he got the message across to Rocket Man, the little Rocket Man, North Korea,
Yeah.
and he got a message across to Putin that listen, don't mess with the United States because we will do what we say we will do.
Yes. But let me just ask a question there, and I think Michelle has actually answered it before. Do you think if Trump was the president of America, that Russia would be doing this at this time? Michelle says no, he wouldn't. What other persons say on Instagram, Facebook, or whatever? What do you think would be happening? Do we have Biden as a weak, lame duck? Boris Johnson, they say, is a dead man walking, figuratively speaking. Is Biden a lame, weak duck, which has no clout? And if, and as you rightly say this, if NATO backs down, and this is where arrogance is coming in. This is my analysis. Arrogance is coming now. These are men now. All these men, maybe you need a Margaret Thatcher at this time, or to take her handbag and hit over Putin's head, or maybe Chancellor Merkel, if she was around still, should eyeball these guys and speak into their face. But these are all men now, right? Playing jockeying. So therefore, NATO is not going to pull back. Biden is a lame duck walking. Boris Johnson is there with these guys talking about Partygate.
Sylbourne, let me let me highlight something here, and I think you've touched on a very good area and a very good thing there with who the leaders are
Yes,
in this in the politics in world politics now.
yes,
If you look at the leaders of yesteryear, they all had some experience of war. They all had some experience of what war is like. It's not good. You don't want war.
mm,
The prime ministers, the presidents, the European leaders, they fought from a position of of um of battle.
yes,
They fought from a position of battle. The leaders that we are having today, and I don't know if
mm,
any of your listeners would agree, and I don't know, it would be very interesting to know what some of your political friends may be thinking and saying now. It's a pity that you can't get any of them on a program like this so that you can have a free for all.
yes,
Because the leaders of today, and those leaders are our age group, there is something that is missing from their life. There is
yes,
from life's experience. They are
mm,
not leading from a position of not having to go through it.
mm.
They will
Are you,
make decisions, Sylbourne, that they've never really had to make in their life.
yes,
They
yes.
don't know what it is not to have.
Are you implying then that leaders of today, or most likely like Barack Obama, all of these guys when came in after were born after war? I know you made a distinction with the leaders of the past. You got the Reagan era, the Margaret Thatcher era coming out of that post-war bit there. All these leaders now are new kids, except Biden, but Biden still have no sense as far as I'm concerned. Pardon me for saying that, Um, do they have to have a knowledge of war, or do they have to have a knowledge of effective leadership? Because it seems to be that we are lacking strong leaders, men of integrity and character and
No,
stamina.
yeah, yeah, and all of those points you have listed, Silborn,
Mm,
I believe are important ingredients to strong leadership. Now, I'm not saying that we need, Boris should go to war and then run a country,
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
you know, or the presidents or the prime ministers of the European nations ought to have been a soldier in order
yeah.
to know what it is to lead a country. No, no, I'm not saying that at all. But but it seems that our leaders lack integrity.
Mm,
Our leaders lack character. It would seem that our leaders they lead from a standpoint of selfishness. There's a degree of selfishness,
yes, yes,
and they're leading and doing what they're doing so as to to favor and please a section of their community. When I say community, I don't mean ethnic community. I'm talking
Yes,
about um, those who stand with them.
yes.
Those who stand with them. I do, there is a problem amongst the leadership of today. I really believe that there is a problem of our leaders today, and that is something I think that mankind, that mankind, is we're going to have it and find it very difficult. I really believe that.
Well, let's look at what Michelle said before we go on to the next topic. Trump was saying, "I'm not a Willy Wonka, not sugarcoating anything. Sleepy Joe has to go. He's going through senility." I think about 50 Republicans are actually asking for a cognitive thing on Biden, and I'm not the one to laugh after somebody in their old age,
Now,
but
I mean, in relation to Joe Biden, I
mm,
like Joe. I love Joe. I see with him, and I sometimes when he walks, if you look and see how he walks very is very tenderly.
yes,
Obviously, he's the oldest president that the United States have had, so I understand that.
yes,
Really, it's a pity that he didn't become president earlier. It's a
mm,
pity. So I'm not going to make any fun at on and say anything about Joe, because when he won, and I sat on my couch and I watched the television still, and when he won and he stood at the podium and he addressed the nation, the Americans, as well as the free world, I it's as if I could hear the world kind of relax. Yeah, yeah.
so
Bring a
so
sigh of relief, because there was someone in office now that was coming in that has experience of how government works. He's been the chair of very powerful committees within the Senate. He has worked very closely with the past presidents of the United States, and more notably Barack Obama. So he knows what's not on his side is time, really, and strength. But if you notice, the older you get, even those who are dictators, the older you get, it seems it is the more softer you become. So he's not really, and his foreign as his foreign
counterparts
secretary has
on the
said,
point, yeah, Blinken.
yeah, and more or less communicated to the world about Ukraine, there's no appetite for war.
Yes, it's very clear that there's an appetite for war. One of the things they were saying about America is that what they're doing is actually putting things out in the public domain, making it transparent, so Putin looks like the bad guy. But but Putin knows he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Putin knows he's a bad guy. But it's very interesting how this unfolds, and nobody wants any war at this time. Somebody just said here, uh, some of those old Republicans need to have cognitive tests done as well.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
it's unfortunate that a big democracy like America have all of these elderly chaps there, in
well,
charge. But
I
yeah,
mean, still, I believe, I believe that there's an agenda that is going on even in the American government.
yes.
There was something. I don't want to make it a religious show. This is not a religious
Well,
show.
listen. One of the things that I think we need to tap into at some point, and we're gonna have to do that, is about God and government. We got to talk about God and government. I mean, if God has a role to play, because I'm just putting that up here. God and government is something which has been on my heart, and Gary, we have to make sure we do a show on that. We got to bring back God into this whole thing. People are going to say, "How God get into this?" But actually, God actually started this whole thing, isn't it?
He did.
Gary,
He did.
he's the God started it. Let's
He
blame
did.
God.
I mean, well, I mean, to whet the appetite of your listeners and those who are watching. I mean, from the very foundation of the world, it was just Adam and Eve, let us say, but God had a government already in operation. He had He had things already operating. Now, as men began to grow and multiply and replenish the earth, as he had said, we then see that mankind, in some form or the other, then they formed their own government. And it would
Yeah.
and the first government that we could probably ever think of, if not the
Yeah.
one of the first, was when King Nimrod built the Tower of Babel to reach heaven. He was king over what? He had a kingdom. And obviously he had a government. And he tried to replicate that. So we don't want to go too far into that. But I do believe that there is a spirit. We must remember this, peoples of the world. Your worldwide citizen.
Michelle is saying, "What's going on here?"
We must remember, right, that there is a spirit in this world that is very much active, and it is in force around us, and it is moving and swaying peoples within government in the corridors of power that we don't know anything about. There are things that are being discussed. There are things that are being passed by law, either in the Senate in the United States, in the Duma, I believe that's what they call them in Russia, and even in Parliament here in the United Kingdom. There are laws being passed every day that we don't have a clue until it hits us in the face. And when it hits us, it's too late. That's why men and women all over the world from time to time, they will picket, they will demonstrate, they will do what they think is necessary to be done because a law was passed a year before, 2, 3, 4, 5 years before,
Yes.
saying that this couldn't happen and it has affected their lives. So there's a spirit that's going on in this world right now, people, that if we are not clued up properly, then,
Dog them a supper.
go
Dog them a
ahead,
supper.
sir.
That's what we say. Dog them a supper. Well, listen. Before we go, there's been a very interesting incident which has happened recently. I don't know if you've been following the football, and Kurt Zouma is to be sacked when footballers convicted of racism are still allowed to play. That is some comments going around. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, and I'll just try to bring his picture up and sort of give some sort of background or some narrative to this, if I can. This is a footballer that was caught kicking his cat, right? Was caught kicking his cat. And as a result of that, he's under fire. I think he has been docked 2 weeks 2 weeks of his pay or so. I think
Yes.
that's the most they can do. There is Mr. Dagenham and Redbridge have said Yuan Zuma will not play for the club until the conclusion of the RSPC investigation into a video of his brother kicking a cat. Right? Apparently, Zuma 23 reported a film West Ham defender Kurt kicking and slapping one of his pets. The RSPCA came, who takes care of animals, took the cats away, and are liaising with the Essex police about the incident. Zomad apologized and said he regretted his involvement in the video. Right. So what is happening now is that they're talking about even the possibility of him getting sacked. One of the things that came up recently, though, and is very interesting, Gary, is a comment which was made that, hang on a second, it is now, what is it, people, cat, and black people. People, cat, dog, and black people mean to say that, look at this, um, I'm not going to condone any animals being kicked or anything like that, but I think it's really overstretching it. I don't know what your take on this, Gary.
I don't.
Remember kicking cat, but
I mean, animal cruelty is not good. It's not very nice. It's not pleasurable. It's
oh, you
not.
thought it was a football? Maybe kicking is maybe you thought it was a football. And I'm not laughing. Yeah, yeah.
It's not pleasurable.
Mm,
But we've got to be careful the the emphasis and where emphasis is placed.
mm,
We have to be careful because in certain areas, you know, um, you know, taking a human life is seen to be far less of an importance than taking the life of an animal.
Mm,
You
mm.
you you know you mistreat an animal, and you could be sent to prison for it.
Yes.
But you mistreat a human being. You could kill a human being or hurt a human being terribly, and you get a slap on the wrist kind of thing, which of
Well,
course, I mean, I, I I'm saying, and I would agree with what one of your commentators say. You know, okay, he did that, but how does
mm,
that? Why should that affect him? Why should that affect an individual either from playing a sport?
yeah. I think I mentioned that. I bet if he was kicking on a black man, he wouldn't be played out like this. Um, let me just read something what some of the other colleagues are saying. West Ham striker Michael Antonio has questioned why there are calls for teammate Kurt to be sacked for kicking and slapping a cat when footballers convicted of racism are still allowed to play
Exactly,
professionally.
exactly,
You know,
exactly. So,
sponsors Adidas have dumped him, and West Ham were already counting the cost of their controversial decision to stick by their man and start Zouma in Tuesday's night Premier League match against Watford, with life insurance company Vitality suspending their 500,000 a year sponsorship. Has the world gone mad?
yeah, it's
Has the
it's.
world gone mad?
I mean, look at this. Okay, look at it.
Crazy.
Look at it in the extreme. And when I say the extreme, okay,
Yes.
look what happened in Washington D.C. Just for example, yeah, you had a mob of, let's say, white people marching towards the Capitol.
Yes.
Okay, a mob. I mean, how many people did they say were descended on the capital of America? Have they given a figure?
I don't know. Michelle, do you know the figure? Michelle know the figure. Were
If
you there,
Michelle
Michelle?
knows the figure, then
Michelle, did you count? Tell us how much people were there.
yeah.
Yeah.
However,
Mm.
my point is that a mob, let's say 5,000 or 500,000 or 100,000 white people marched from where the past president was to where Congress sat.
Yes.
They had police there. And the National Guard turned up. Not one bullet,
Mm.
not one bullet was fired. All
Yes.
right. Um, spray cans were sprayed. I believe probably tear gas or whatever was done. I'm not even sure tear gas was released. No, paint everybody black. Paint every individual that marched on their way to Congress black.
That day.
Just imagine what would have happened. Imagine with the same feeling, the same concern that they had. Now I'm not saying the concern was right. Obviously, they were expressing themselves. That's what they were doing.
Yes.
You paint every individual that was white, black, that marched from where President Trump was to where Congress was. What do you think, Seymour? What do
Mm.
what what does your audience out there think would have happened if it was pure black people that marched
Mm.
from where President Trump was to Congress? Can you imagine the mayhem? Can you imagine the people who would have died?
Mm.
Because the police wouldn't have resisted to use their sticks. They wouldn't have resisted to use their guns. They wouldn't have resisted to bring all the necessary machinery to place in front of Congress to do what they
Mm.
think they would need to do. But on that day, nothing compared to what they've done in that's in several
Yeah.
states.
Well, my philosophy is that I
It's
believe
not
that
right, Sylbourne. It's not right.
I believe that dupping over frightened. That's a saying they say in Jamaica. In Pennsylvania, in the U.S., a black man went hunting with white four people in four persons, white with four white person in December, and he was shot 9 times, and no one has been arrested. I think this whole thing regarding the footballer is OTT, over the top, and um and I believe at this time the world is going through this revolutionary craziness. I would say when I think about even the Joe Rogan thing, which is going on with all these guys leaving Spotify, I just simply said, I mean, that I'm so glad that I don't know these guys, Neil Young and all these different persons leaving, because at the end of the day, I like to choose what I want to listen to. Nobody's allowed anymore. You and I can be having a conversation here now, and we bring Michelle and we bring different persons with 4 point of views to hear what they have to say. But there's one point of view is going to be out there that nobody wants to hear, or the powers that be don't want to hear, and they shut the whole thing down because of that one voice. They don't want to hear what that one voice has to say. They want to hear all the other voices that actually is appeasing. So what we are becoming pure pures and sissies. Our mentality, our stomach now cannot take things of any substance anymore, Gary, because
Sylbourne,
we are so protect. Who is protecting us? Who is protecting me? I don't want nobody to protect me.
no, but we're not being protected. That's the whole point. Black people are not being protected. There was
Yeah.
something I can't remember. It came to my mind while you were talking. Something happened recently,
Yes.
and it was a white guy.
Yeah.
Let's call a spade a spade. It was a white guy,
Yeah.
and he was saying that um, I think if I could remember, it would bring more clarity to it. But those who are listening, you can think of thousands that's happened in your area. You watch it, you
Mm.
listen it to the news, where white people will get up and will say that racism that and racism this and all of that. But what they're forgetting is that people like you and I, Sylbourne, we're living with it every day.
Yes.
We're having to come upon it every single day of our lives.
Mm.
You
Mm.
know, we may be the most qualified persons. We have to work doubly hard to pass and
Yes.
and and to get our degrees. We have to work doubly hard even to get the positions in the workplaces that we work to. We have to work doubly hard to be careful not to drive stupidly. However, we've got our
Yeah.
counterparts. Some of them don't even study properly. We
Mm.
know that we've got better sense than some of them. But hey, the daddy
And
is this, the daddy
yeah.
is that, the right
Yeah.
color is this. Look how many. This may sound a bit too controversial for your program, Sylbourne, tonight. But let me say, it's happened where our sons, let me say sons, because society has been constructed in such a way, Sylbourne,
Mm.
that 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 our boys are more feared than our daughters because
Yeah.
they know that if our sons are given the chance to
Excel.
make a living, to do something, they will excel far more than than other boys. Yeah,
Mm.
there's been experiments, there's been tests done where you have a white boy and a black boy. Yes,
Mm.
they both are friends. It's nothing, but they just want to show that there is discrimination. They go for the same job. They've got the same
Yes.
qualifications. They don't. The people who get the CVs don't even know their color
Yes.
because the names. Sometimes they look at the names and determine, oh, that's a white guy, that's a black guy. So
Mm.
what they do, they change the names over so that the black guy has the white name and the white guy has the black name. Yeah. When they then go in for the interview and they say, well, who are you? They're shocked because they didn't expect this black guy to um to
Sound
appear
that.
before them. That
Yeah.
is how unjust this world is. That
Yeah.
is how unjust the society in which we are a part of is
Yeah.
so very much unjust.
Yeah.
Unjust again so far, Silbert. I know you want to close down.
Yeah.
So
I
much that our boys yeah, our sons, and even you and I, because we were young before, yeah,
Mm.
we are ostracized. Our daughters, our wives are then placed into some positions because it doesn't. Women do not frighten them. There's another term I want to use. Women do not
Intimidate.
intimidate them. They
Mm.
don't, because they know that, well, they can manage them. They can
Mm.
they can kind of control our women,
Pacify. Yes, yes.
right? But the men, they don't want us around. That's how unjust our world is.
So therefore, who are the persons to raise the voices and the strength of the man? That's us, isn't it?
Well, that's why you have to have your own Seymour CDL show to
No, we have a responsibility. I was speaking to someone earlier today that said he was trying to get hold of a guy that I had helped, and he couldn't get hold of the guy, and he believed the guy was shading him, and I said to him, irrespective, let us be here for him still, no matter what, because you never tell what is happening. So the guy had felt bad, and he said he was going to try to get hold of the guy, and apologize at the same time. But I think we've got to be there for each other. I believe that the Kurt Zuma, if he was a white guy, this wouldn't be happening to him. And the power that being and the ton which is coming down on him to hurt this guy, I do not condone animal cruelty, you know, but I think in comparison to certain things, and you cannot compare a cat to a human being. You know what I mean? I don't know. I give up. I give up. I give up on tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, listen. Thank you so much for joining, Mommy Sandy and those guys on Instagram, those on Facebook and YouTube. Michelle Clark, thank you so much. This Saturday night, make sure you join in on Talk and Sip. We're going to talk about Jamaica on its Reggae Month, which is this year Reggae Month, and also Black History Month as well. I think there are lots of topics going to be talked about, especially the lady whose dreadlocks was cut off. Somebody said, "Sylbourne, you need to speak on it," and because her dreadlocks was cut off, it is alleged, because the DPP said that wasn't the case. Were cut off, and it was at the same time we were talking about Black History Month and Reggae Month with Bob Marley, who's a dreadlocks. You know what I'm trying to say? And they said Lady Saw. Somebody said, let's talk about Lady Saw. She's leaving the church and going back into dancehall. So, but anyway, the most important thing is
is
that it's
is that is that true? Is that true?
I don't know what she said. What she said, Gary, was that she's coming off social media. She won't be preaching in social media anymore, and they have won. She's leaving her ministry or so. So what can I say? I I I I I, I wanted to play a song, but I can't play it. There's a song that says, "Drink water and mind my own business." It's a calypso tune. Drink water and mind my own business. Drink water and mind my own business. They didn't say drinks or alcohol or anything special. Just drink
Drink
some
water.
water and mind my own business. And that's my philosophy. Leave people business alone.
It's sad. It's
Yeah.
we're living in a sad world, sir.
Yes.
A
Yes.
sad world.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining, and Gary, thank you so much for coming on tonight as well. Ladies and gentlemen, remember to like and subscribe to the Sylbourne Show. Those on Facebook and YouTube as well, Sylbourne TV, Twitter Sylbourne TV, and also as well, follow me on my walks in the morning, motivational walk and talk, motivational moment in the park, and where I give my motivational talks, and you can join me on my fitness thing, which I've been doing for the past 2 years now, since 2020. During lockdown, I made a decision and I said, what did I say, Gary? I shall not isolate, I shall not quarantine, I shall not shield, and I shall not go into lockdown.
I
And
shall
people
nothing.
said, and people said, don't you wear mask? I said, no, it's a state of mind. You got to have a state of mind whereby you're free, free to enjoy the birds and get some, Gary, the beautiful thing about walking in the park is that you get germs on your system. You play with I sometimes stand up and playing with the leaves on the ground, and getting germs in my system, because they said that's how you strengthen your
Well, that's how
system.
you strengthen your system. You're right. I,
Straight nervous system, and able to actually study the the woodpecker. That there's a elder lady always said, "Oh, you need to go and do a study." So I've got to do a study on the woodpecker, and I have to stand up on a tree stump in the park one day and educate them as to why the woodpecker go. "Rrrr." So so some old ladies and some older folks in the morning said, "I need to do that." So, and that's for me is a challenge, and that is exciting. You know what I'm saying?
I believe you. I believe you.
Hold on. Somebody said, "But you're still wearing, you still,
That's Michelle.
you're still wearing the mask." Nah, mask. I don't even know what mask. I don't even know where the mask is. No, we wear the mask on the train, but I believe the prime minister now, and that's a good point. Just before we go, the prime minister is actually pushing. I think there's some tug of war between the mayor of London and the government in seizing the whole mask thing. Stop wearing mask on the train. You still have to wear mask on the train as well. And also, ladies and gentlemen, for the UK as well, I think if you have COVID, you can go about your business and walk up and down and mingle still. That one is a tricky one, you know. So anyway, God bless you, people. All the best. Thank you very much.
Okay then, Michelle. Bye. Thanks for
Bye bye,
joining.
Michelle. Bye bye, Michelle. Bye bye, Noreen. Bye, everyone. Thank you.